one, and they are going to be the two teams who are facing off against each other. So New Zealand already in a pretty good position. The Rogue, of course, it is best of 5. All classes are brought, and if it is 2-2, we go to the AC. Kimianga Horan Ukapa Pakiwen Oakitanahuha. That's the longest place name in the world, Dan. In New Zealand.
I didn't catch it. Could you repeat that?
No, definitely not. Game 1, then.
Oh, it's Jade Rogue.
Okay, Jade Rogue versus Secret Hunter.
Yeah, Secret Hunter. That seems...
Wolf Riders.
And Fairy Dragon. So does that mean it's running the Curator if it's running Fairy Dragon?
It's running Flare, that's for sure.
And Snipe.
Do you know what that longest name means, by the way?
Tell me.
It means the summit where Tamatea, the man with the big knees, the climber of mountains, the land swallower who travelled about and played his nose flute to his loved one.
Very passionately read out.
I fluffed it a little bit.
Honestly, I thought that the longest place name in the world was in Wales at some point before...
No, that's actually not. It is one of them, though.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and say that one.
Please. Just shame we don't have a Wales team.
It's interesting you mentioned Wales, because I have another fact for New Zealand later that is relevant, but we'll get to that later.
All right. Meanwhile, turn number 1. Do we just go with 2 1-drops? I think Secret Keeper plus Fiery Bat leads into Snipe very well.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, alternatively, you could go for Fairy Dragon if you're worried about backstab. Obviously, you can't backstab a Fairy Dragon.
Ah, well, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, something that Taiwan would have been considering. They're not expecting this to be Quest Rogue, as Ting Tong didn't play anything on turn 1. So, likelihood is that it's Miracle Rogue, likelihood is that there is a backstab in hand. And Roger going to be rewarded for that, as this dagger starts to punch Fairy Dragon. That thing is going to deal 9 damage in total.
I mean, if Roger does just go for Secret Keeper into Fiery Bat here, then that Fan of Knives is going to be absolutely detrimental. It's going to be able to clear up this board very successfully.
Yep, that's exactly what's going to have to happen. That looks very good for Ting Tong.
Could prep it out along with Gluttonous Ooze as well if you just wanted to gain some form of board control here.
It's worth considering just for the huge tempo gain. Look at that Curator in Rogue. It's worth considering for the tempo gain. I think that you can consider holding on to the Ooze for an Eagle Horn bow. Most hunters do run at least one of those, and that's a lot of value, especially if there's secrets in the deck. That thing could get a lot of durability, and Gluttonous Ooze could just put a stop to it. But the fact that you put a 3-3 body on the board does seem very strong. Then again, Ting Tong can just get some tempo later with Backstab and Jade Spirit, I imagine. So, yeah, I prefer not using the prep here. Oh, look, second Backstab.
And a reset then for Taiwan and Roger here. Kind of Grandmother actually a really nice draw. It's able to put something on the board that should be able to survive so that you can follow up with a Razor more.
It's okay. It's just so awkward. Like, you're playing a 2-mana 1-1 on turn 3. Imagine Cloaked Huntress here. Cloaked Huntress plus Snipe. That would have been a much better turn. Even Animal Companion would have felt better. But now Roger is going to get a little bit confused as Jade Spirit, not a card regularly seen in Rogue.
So there was the option. He could have, of course, daggered up, traded in, and then used Backstab to deal with the Kindly Grandmother, but Ting Tong just really wanted to take the initiative and put something on the board here. Probably, I wouldn't say they're the best options, but actually Spores is alright. It will allow them to keep a little bit of value.
Well, one Fan of Knives has already gone, and this causes Roger's board to go pretty wide. He gets 2 1-1s and a 3-2 after making this trade, develops a secret as well. Definitely puts Ting Tong in a confusing position, but then Ting Tong is also the confuser in this matchup.
So how many times have you played this matchup on ladder, Dan?
Nope, 0, none.
Not that one time?
Have you? Not the one
at
time.
Bank Camp?
When you were playing Secret Hunter and I was playing...
Yeah.
No, never happened.
Sniper's going to make short work of any minion that Ting Tong wants to put on the board here, but it may just be an insignificant one in the end.
Ooh, Hallucination into Unleash the Hounds or Explosive Trap would be...
Oh,
I almost said or
I
Power
like
Shot,
the way
but
you
Power
think.
Shot, Power Shot isn't actually in the meta. It isn't in Standard.
Hallucination into Explosive Trap would be filthy.
It would be.
I would demand to take a shower immediately if that were to happen.
Let's see! No, but Swamp King Dread is also filthy in his own dinosaur-y way.
Like a dinosaur that's trampling through mud.
Gonna take On the Hunt instead. Ting Tong really gonna focus on controlling this board. On the Hunt deals 1 damage and summons a 1/1 Mastiff dog beast thing.
I mean, you've got double backstab here now into both of the 3/2s. Then you can on the Mastiff. You can on the Hunt. You confused me there.
Basically, Elven Archer.
Yeah, you can on the Hunt, and you can use your hero power as well, just to clear everything up.
On the Mastiff.
On the Mastiff. Firefly will show that Snipe is apparent.
And now let's take a look at these hands, where Roger has a Flare and a Kill Command, and Ting Tong still has all of this. He's still got the Curator, which will draw him 3 more cards later. Roger is just losing all of his sustainability this game.
But we did see the likes of...
It's too late now, Huntress.
Wolf Rider in the deck for Roger. I mean, his game plan soon is just going to be hit that hero power, smash it every turn.
Hit that face.
And hit that face, yeah. I imagine there might be the likes of Leroy in there as well.
Huntress would have been so huge a couple draws ago, but now it's just a 3-mana 3/4, which is good stats, but just not good enough for this position. Galactica Crawler, not going to do much against the Hunter deck, unfortunately.
Nothing today, so it's just going to be played for its 2/3 body.
Ting Tong could consider playing the Ooze for its body too, but then if there is an Eaglehorn Bow, he'd appreciate the armor gain later.
So we are witnessing a matchup that is a little bit off meta.
We're making history.
I mean, of course, there are no Hunters that are being brought to HCT this weekend. There are no Rogues, aside from Quest Rogues, being brought to HCT this weekend. So this is something a little bit different.
I think the players in Shanghai are going to watch this game and think to themselves, darn it.
Yeah, why didn't I?
Why didn't I bring Jade Rogue? It's just much better than Quest Rogue.
I'm not going to lie, though. Sometimes seeing a game like this can be pretty refreshing.
Of course.
Like, especially on ladder, being able to see something like this come out of the works. But Roger has his game plan, Dan, and it is to just push as much damage to face. He has become the face hunter, and he will SM Orc.
Jade Shuriken! Don't forget that card does require a combo to summon the Jade Golem, a mistake that a lot of people made when it first came out, when Jade Rogue was being experimented with. Ting Tong's going to struggle here because he has no way of generating more health.
Yeah, this is the thing. He needs to be able to beat Taiwan in at least 5 turns.
So he really, well, he could do with Taiwan playing Eaglehorn Bow now, because that would actually gain... Oh,
he popped. I mean, at the moment he's not going to play it anyway because I don't think he's going to try and get through this Curator. I don't think you take 4 unnecessarily.
Yeah, it's tricky because you need to weave in the hero power, and I think it's more important to play the cat trick here. But then if you play the bow, hit it in, you play the cat trick, you get an extra charge on the bow when a spell is played. So it's definitely it's worth considering. It's definitely playable here.
And that is, of course, armor gain as well, as you were saying.
But he doesn't want to... Roger doesn't want to not hero power.
Correct.
He needs to be doing that every single turn.
Yeah, he can win in 5 turns if he just hero powers. And then he could draw into potentially a beast and another kill command as well to speed up the process.
But if he does nothing, is 5 turns too long?
I mean, most likely, yes. 5 turns is too long. But it's usually not 5 turns because you usually draw something else.
He's equipping the bow.
He equips the
He's
bow.
not
This would be
equipping the bow.
perfect for
He
Ting
is
Tong.
equipping the bow. He's not equipping the bow. I'm so excited about this bow. It goes down. All right, there we go. Ting Tong, look at that fist pump.
The only bows I'm usually excited about are bow ties.
Bow ties are cool.
I think Rob Wing would agree with me.
Jade Swarmer as well. So this deck could run. There's all sorts this deck could run. It could run a Zoth because it brings back the Jade Swarmers. I wouldn't like to hazard a guess as to what makes up the rest of this deck.
So this may be that final nail in the coffin for Roger here. Getting his bow taken away and the extra armor is what's really crucial here for Ting Tong.
I think it is. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see Jade Shuriken come down just to generate this extra Jade Golem. Keep dealing this damage to Roger's face. He may hold on to it, use it for removal, but he's got so many minions on the board, I don't think he needs removal.
1 kill command has already been used. Unleash the Hounds will allow you to push 1 damage to face after clearing off the Curator. You're still alive for a couple of turns in your eyes.
That's worth considering as well. If he played the Jade Shuriken, then Unleash the Hounds would deal 2 damage to the face. I'm gonna go for it anyway.
Yeah, you want to try and set up lethal for next turn, right? So, unfortunately, you are still 1 off. But there's Leroy, which is just going to do nothing.
He's 1 off lethal, but I'm sure there are a lot of cards in the deck that actually deal more face damage. A second Jade Shuriken eviscerates, etc., etc.
But, and it's a big but, if he does decide to maybe use something like a prep, if he doesn't play the Primordial Drake, and then there's an Unleash the Hounds off the top,
okay,
then that gets interesting.
Oh, we just go for it. We go for it. Come on, Ting Tong. I guess he's got to consider Explosive Trap, though.
If he procs this cat trick, that's more damage that can come through. That could be a guaranteed 6 to face, which is a guaranteed 8 with the hero power as well. Even more so if he was to draw Unleash the Hounds. Unleash the Hounds actually just would be lethal if he does proc this cat trick.
Well, yeah, Leroy Unleash the Hounds is a lot of damage even without the Cat in the Hat, but you're right.
Playing it safe. I like it.
And destroying your own Jade Dude also helps a lot too.
And no way for Roger to battle through all the taunts. And you said it was a meme deck, but Ting Tong using his Jade Rogue to gain a...
But anyways, let's not ponder too much on the Hunter. Next up, it's going to be Warrior versus Shaman. And personally, I expect more regular...
A bit jealous. I want to be
That is a bathrobe. Right, that is definitely a bathrobe.
Can I cast in a bathrobe?
It's very comfortable, isn't it?
They are really soft. So it's not going to be the Taunt Warrior, of course. That is quite clearly a Pirate Warrior.
So, very defensive Shaman versus very aggressive Warrior. Then again, I'm basing all of that on a single Lightning Storm that I still remember.
Yeah, Lightning Storm could just be thrown into Evolved Shaman, of course. It can be very good in the mirror. It can also be very good against any other aggro matchup, particularly like this one. Maelstrom Portal is going to be fantastic in the early game against New Zealand here. Of course, N'Zoth's first mate is a very common turn 1.
Maelstrom Portal, Devolve, and Lightning Storm, all very, very strong against Pirate Warrior. If this is an Evolved Shaman that's just been teched to beat Pirate Warrior, then it could do a very good job. Although there's a Hot Spring Guardian.
Yeah, that changes things.
How much does it change things, then? It shows again how much crossover there is between the two decks, because it's only really Hot Spring Guardian and Lightning Storm that's given us any kind of hint whatsoever to this not being a token Shaman. Taiwan, really big smiles coming from Pimping Ho here.
So this either could be just like the Echo Shaman, potentially. It could just be Jade Elemental Shaman. I know in HCT we've only seen one Shaman that wasn't Evolved Shaman being brought, and that was a Jade variant. But the Hot Spring Guardian is going to be a fantastic tool, not only for stopping immediate pressure, but also healing yourself up as well.
So is this better or worse against Pirate Warrior than regular Evolved Shaman? Because I'm honestly not too sure. Regular Evolved Shaman doesn't seem horrible. It goes very wide. When aggro decks go wide, they tend to be a little bit favoured against the aggro decks that don't go wide.
I think you've got all the tools necessary to win this game now as Ping Ping Ho.
Yeah, I mean...
You've got the removal, you've got the taunts, you've got the card draw.
This is probably just slightly better, right?
I think it's better. It can become a race with Evolved Shaman, but it is a race that you can often win because of things like Thing from the Below.
Thing from the Below.
From the Below.
The Thing from the Below.
Just throwing random those in.
Trust the pirates.
Yeah, New Zealand just playing the South Sea the captain. The Patch is the pirate.
Oh, baby. Okay, well, if this game wasn't already winnable, it just became even more winnable. Right on time.
Galaka the Crawler doing it today.
Stop.
Okay, I'll stop.
Galaka Crawler coming perfect time there.
Yeah, pretty nice. Eating up a South Sea Captain is one of the best possible targets for that. Getting it kind of on tempo on turn 2. Not quite filling out the curve perfectly, but does enough of a good job.
Slayer Max could deal with it now with Heroic Strike if he wanted, as well as a N'Zoth's first mate, just to put something else on the board. I guess you do deal with it, because otherwise you're just going to... If you put a South Sea Captain on there, it's just going to be dealt with. So I think that might be the play, Dan.
It's Captain or Blood Cell Cultist, which is what New Zealand are hovering over. No, I like you. I like your play. I like the Heroic Strike. I feel like it's important to just get rid of it. But Slayer Max, just gonna go for the biggest board he possibly can. He'll play Blood Cell Raider. Okay, well this isn't so bad, because the 3-3 trades evenly. If Pimping Ho trades in one of the 3-3s with one of the 1-1s, Slayer Max can clean it up with the other 1-1 and the weapon. But what Slayer Max was not banking on are all of these board clears that have stacked up in Pimping Ho's hand. I think I did like Heroic Strike.
Now, if you want, you could... it doesn't really matter what you do here. You can go for Maelstrom Portal, or you can go for Lightning Storm. You've got the follow-up. I like rolling a totem because you want to get closer to Thing from Below, but you could also go for double Maelstrom Portal if you really want.
It's one of those situations where it doesn't matter if you roll the totem before or after.
Yeah, because he's still going to trade anyway.
Yeah.
As long as you roll that totem, that's the important thing. Speaking of importance, it's a very important game, of course, for both teams trying to qualify for the round of 16. But if Taiwan were to lose this series 3-0, Dan, it would mean they would be unable to automatically qualify.
Right.
Of course, there is always that chance of a third place, but that would be a third place at 1 and 2, which we know may not be enough. With already we are seeing 2 and 1s being there.
It does look like most of the third places are going to be 2 and 1, as you said. So it's tough call. I wouldn't want to be in Taiwan's position if they do get 3-0'd here.
No, however, Brazil will be very happy about that.
Yeah, sure.
As it would, I think, it would guarantee them going through, because they already have a +1 difference in their group.
Yeah, they've still got to play against Hungary.
But even if they lost 3-0, they'd still go through.
But even if they lost 3-0, they'd still go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if a 3-0 is going to be a possibility here, because Taiwan, at the moment, just look in such a comfortable position, Dan.
They look like they're heavily favoured in this game, at least. Next turn, they can Hero Power and drop Thing from Below. They've got Hearthstone Guardian coming up soon. 2 more board clears.
However,
oh no,
I never count out a Pirate Warrior.
Do not.
Because they can just blast that damage out of nowhere sometimes.
It just takes the pickup of an Arcanite Reaper and then some upgrades, and that seems to allow the Pirate Warrior to win most games. Volcano picked up from Pimping Ho, not a card we see a lot of anymore, but it certainly is an efficient way of clearing pirates off of the board.
Yeah, it's very prominent in the Echo Shaman. I mean, we don't see it much more because we don't really see kind of Echo or Elemental Shaman very often at all. It is just Evolved Shaman is the go-to Shaman deck. That's very apparent. Everyone knows that. It's very successful. However, sometimes when you do get the surprise factor, when you can get a matchup like this, then it is perfectly acceptable to have the Elemental or Echo Shaman.
Hot Spring Guardian or Thing from Below? It seems to be the question. Okay, Taiwan not going to drop a taunt at all. I guess on 29 health it's just not necessary. By dropping the Manatide Totem, he draws another card, another heal specifically. Thing from Below is going to be really cheap to play next turn with the Hero Power. And Slayer Max, still no Arcanite Reaper. Got the upgrade, in fact. Got 2 ways of upgrading it.
2 ways of upgrading, so we're going to get 3-3.
In fact, Sassy Captain plus Blood Cell Raider seems okay this turn. Just get rid of that Manatide Totem.
What now?
I mean, you could just Cultist and upgrade if you wanted. You can get rid of the Manatide Totem that way. Try and control this board a little bit. However, then Volcano's just going to punish you.
It seems better right now. Upgrading that weapon twice with the Cultist and the upgrade seems better right now. However, I don't think Slayer Max wins this without an Arcanite Reaper. And the only way Arcanite Reaper wins is by upgrading it a few times. So while that does seem more efficient right now, I don't think that's a game-winning game plan.
I think really the only way Slayer Max is going to win this game is by trying to control a board, hope there's no removal from Pimping Ho. When a taunt does come down, having Spellbreaker available to be able to push that extra damage through that perhaps Taiwan and Pimping Ho weren't expecting.
Well, this is just a Volcano, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there any way you can get away with not doing it? I just think it's better to do it.
You remove everything off this board. You don't allow any sort of board presence from New Zealand. And New Zealand just have to go again and hope that they can draw something significant now that they can put onto the board.
Sure, Pimping Ho could have held off. He could have played Think from Below and Hotspring Guardian, put up some taunts, then Volcano next turn. But why?
Yeah.
Why bother?
When you can get a clean clear now.
You got a perfect chance to play it right now. Why don't you?
Greenskin is a welcome addition to his hand. You can greenskin and upgrade here if you want. And then you're asking for an answer of even more removal.
He's now got a Death's Bite. Well, after this attack goes through. It's 4-2. Imagine if it started as an Arcanite Reaper, or even if it started its life as a Fiery War Axe. This card would be very strong right now. Jade Lightning just deals with Captain Greenskin. Double Junior Water Speaker. But even playing one doesn't...
I mean, this is becoming cruel now. Ping Ho is just laughing.
He's been laughing this whole game.
He knows. He's fighting the good fight.
He was laughing on the screen we saw him on before the game even started. I think he was laughing at Slaymax's bathrobe.
Maybe. But he's fighting the good fight. You know, everyone's been in that situation where you lose a lot of games to Pirate Warrior on ladder, and sometimes you need the Batman to come along and just clean everything up and bring justice and order.
So he's drawn both Lightning Storms, both Maelstrom Portals, and a Volcano. But those Lightning Storms are kind of useless now because New Zealand's never going to have more than one minion on the board. Sure, just nice and chill. Play both Junior Water Speakers. Why not? It's a decent body on the board too. Look at Pimping Ho.
And there's another upgrade as well. That's actually not what you want to see when you already have the Arcanite Reaper in hand.
If that Reaper came just a little bit sooner, and if he was able to upgrade that 3 times...
The scary thing is now for New Zealand is they can only hope to push damage to face, and they're giving this board away, and this board is going to get even bigger, and Taiwan are going to get closer and closer to just being able to finish the game off themselves. It's not even about stabilization now, it's just about trying to win this game. They've got the taunts to put in the way of this Arcanite Reaper as well. It's not like they could just put one in the way and then a Spellbreaker will be able to thwart that plan. 2 taunts equals, most likely, GG.
Well, one of the taunts comes with healing too.
Healing does help.
The other one comes with a essentially free Mana Tide Totem. It's going to draw Pimping Ho. More cards that he just doesn't need to win this. I expect we see the concede any moment now from Slaymax.
Yeah, there's no way you get back in this game as a Pirate Warrior, unfortunately. I say unfortunately. I mean, sometimes it is nice to see the justice of a Pirate Warrior being destroyed. However, Frothing Berserker is not going to allow him to get any sort of presence on this board. But if we've learned anything today, Dan, is that people aren't going to be conceding in the last week of Phase 2. You want to play until the game is over. Until you are officially dead next turn, we've seen people keep this going.
Let's be honest, Dan.
I mean, the game is over, Dan, but he's not actually dead yet, so...
But you're right, we've seen some fun in the Hearthstone Global Games today, for sure. We've seen some crazy decks from Chalk, from China, from Singapore. We've seen some good stuff today. You saw Horror Priest, right?
We did see Horror Priest again, yeah. Sequinox's homebrewed Horror Priest.
Didn't win, though, did it?
It didn't, although it did... It came pretty close. Well, I say it came pretty close.
Matched up pretty badly.
Against Quest Road was never good, but I mean, the fact that he was able to survive so long was...
Pint-Sized Potion and Shadowwood Horror, definitely an interesting combo against Quest Road.
Definitely is. Works out perfectly.
Yeah.
But as we ramble about previous games, of course, this game is just playing itself out. Pimping Ho has won this and will be tying the series up 1-1. Slayermax will wait for his final draw, see what it is. Leroy Jenkins not going to be able to burst through anything. If anything, we just wanted to hear the vocals. 1-1 then.
At least he's got chicken.
At least he's got chicken indeed. Pimping Ho bringing Taiwan back in. And now they don't have to worry about losing the game 3-0.
Hatha versus Malagos, both on the Mage.
Yes, Mage Mirrors.
You like Mage Mirrors?
I love them, as I was saying to Lorinda, because we had a Mage Mirror previously.
Necessary. Let's see, there's a counterspell in Patha's hand, but an Acolyte in Malagos' hand. Now, there was a Freeze Mage earlier today that actually run counterspell. So I don't want to put anything in stone here, but my gut is telling me that Malagos is playing Freeze Mage and Patha is playing Discover Mage.
But this is the point, though, Dan. Is that we don't know, because we're getting these hybrids. We're getting the freeze, discover, burn hybrid. We're getting the secret, discover hybrid, where people are trying the somewhat influential cards from a successful deck and then putting them in another successful deck.
Well, I've gone with my gut, Dan. I'm sticking with my gut. The Pathos Mulligan has given me no reason to doubt that this is a Discover Mage. We'll see what Malagos does. Gets rid of the Acolyte, gets... I've got a pretty good feeling.
And I mean, if it is freeze versus discover, then of course having Medivh can be very influential in this matchup. Being able to build up a board and then provide the beatdown.
Yeah, the Discover certainly seems favoured just because of the way that the board interacts, especially after Alexstrasza gets played. If you're playing Alexstrasza to lower your opponent's health and you've already built up a board, or if you play it defensively and you've already built up a board, you tend to be in a better position. Freeze Mage can still win, it's just a little bit harder.
And the early game of Mage versus Mage is so often 2-3s versus 2-3s. You just get a board full of 2-3s and it's who cracks first, who decides to trade, because actually every point of damage is very important. I would not be surprised if this 2 damage just goes face, because you want to encourage your opponent to trade instead of you.
Pathra missed out on her Mana Worm as well, which is... Mana Worm is a card that can win you the game against a Freeze Mage. You can get it down early, start eating up their removal, start pressuring them. Battling Book also decent 1-drop, but it's going to be a little bit trickier for Pathra to fit it into the curve.
Frostbolt does allow Malagos here to just push damage to face as well as killing off the Archaeologist if he would like, but he may be tempted to test for Counterspell, which is probably why the Ice Barrier came down.
I wanna just note that Malagos has all 4 secrets in his hand. If Pathra does draw an Eater of Secrets, then not only is the ice block that Malagos has equipped on the board at the time rendered useless, but the ice block in his hand is also rendered useless, because Pathra won't play the Eater of Secrets until she's got lethal. So both of these cards are just not going to do anything.
And we actually had this discussion yesterday about Eater of Secrets, and do you ever play it on tempo by just destroying 2 secrets in the middle of the game? And we were like, no, probably not, unless there's maybe 3, sometimes 4 secrets, and then it's just too much
4,
value.
You play it every time, every day, all day. If there's 3, I think you probably usually play it 2. If it's 2, then you have to really think hard about it. But you never play Eater of Secrets against a mage when they've got 1 secret unless you just have lethal.
We are, of course, just saying that if there is Eater of Secrets, and it is a big if, because it's not run in every mage deck.
Again, I just think it's such a good reason to pick mage when you know that mage is one of your opponent's decks that's coming up, so it's definitely not 100%, but I'd say it's highly likely. On both sides, actually.
So the 6 damage that Malagos has been able to already put into the face of New Zealand is extremely important, with his game plan of later being able to maybe burn Pathra away if he's not going to go for the Alexstrasza. Alexstrasza can be used as a defensive option in this match. Sometimes is actually really important. If they build up a little bit of a board and they're starting to give you a beatdown, you might need to use Alexstrasza just to stay alive.
That's the problem, is that you much prefer using Alexstrasza offensively on turn 9 and then aiming to win the game on turn 10 or turn 11.
And I think offense is the key word there as well for Malagos. He was thinking about using the Frostbolt to just delete Medivh's Valet off the board, but
Delete.
The thing is, if you start using all this burn that you have to remove, then you're just going to lose to value, because the Discover Mage can continuously put things on the board that you have to then try and remove. You need to save some of your burn for the combo after playing Alexstrasza.
It's just all very messy with this deck. That's where the game plan gets a bit confusing, because the 6 damage that was already dealt to the face is just meaningless unless Malagos does go for the defensive Alexstrasza. Yeah. Exactly. And at the moment, it doesn't look like he's going to need to go for a defensive one. Pathra picking up 2 1-drops there, though. That's very interesting. Babbling Book plus Mana Worm could both come down this turn. I like the idea of pressuring the board.
And Babbling Book can be so influential in this matchup as well. If you draw another ice block, that can just win you the game.
Yeah. Unless Malagos is running Eater of Secrets.
Well, yeah, that's... I mean, of course.
Spellbender is not the secret that you were referring to, but what can Spellbender do? It can actually protect her own minions on the board from Malygos's removal, so definitely potential of doing some work. Especially if she drops a Medivh or an Alexstrasza of her own, just allows the cards to survive.
So most likely going to see Ice Barrier here, just with a ping. I mean, you try and gain a little bit more armor, a little bit more life total, whilst there are still minions on the board that are going to be hitting you. Of course, in a Freeze Mage mirror, it's very rare that the Ice Barrier actually gets procced. But when you're playing against Discover Mage, of course, with all this on board, you know that you're going to get some value out of it.
Barrier.
What to do? What to do?
I like the idea of playing both barriers nice and early because that kind of protects them from the Eater of Secrets. If barrier is played and procs as soon as Pathra hits into it, it just means the Eater of Secrets doesn't do any work there, which is something. It means rather than all 4 of the secrets being rendered useless, only 2 of them have been. Blood Mage Thanos because Malygos just needs to draw more cards. His hand is lacking at the moment.
I mean, Malygos' game plan is, if I can pop his blocks first, then I win. Simple.
Yeah.
That's how it works. However, he does need to stay alive at the same time.
The only time that it doesn't work like that is, again, kind of going around in circles, but that's when the defensive Alexstrasza happens.
Yeah.
That's when the game of, I've popped your ice block first, I win, doesn't necessarily end that way, unless there's a lot more burn damage that's been stored up in the hand.
And it's all well and good Pathra building up a board here, but there may be a point where Malygos is able to shut that board down with like a Frost Nova Doomsayer, for example.
Or just a Flame Strike coming up on turn 7.
Yeah, Flame Strike can deal with these little pesky minions.
Except, Counterspell going to do what it can to put a stop to any of that removal, so Malygos going to have to play this a little bit intelligently here. Whether he wants to burn an ice block, maybe. Oh, hello, Doomsayer.
Yeah.
So Malygos could play Doomsayer Frost Nova, then Pathra would have to deal with the Doomsayer,
But
and then
the
he
Frost
could play...
Nova would just be counterspelled, right?
Yeah, I know, but then she'd still have to trade everything into the Doomsayer.
Okay.
And then Malygos can just Flame Strike and he's reset the board.
But if you Frost Nova and you work out that it... Oh, you don't want to play Ice Block. If you Frost Nova and you work out that it is a counterspell, do you bother playing the Doomsayer? I guess it just works out as a 0-7 taunt.
So, ideally, Malygos would like to keep his armor. So I don't even mind him burning the Ice Block, because if he burns the Ice Block, he plays Frost Nova, next turn he Flame Strikes, and that 9 armor is still very much intact. It means that Pathra's Alexstrasza only puts him down to 24.
Yeah, but, I mean, an extra life is better than 9 armor, surely. Ouch. I was saying how important it can be getting another Ice Block out off of Babbling Book.
Yeah.
Now the Ice Block lead is there for Pathra.
But he may also think that there's an Eater of Secrets, in which case Ice Block is even less valuable. Ultimately, if you're going to try and play around Eater of Secrets, holding on to Frost Nova and preserving that 9 armor actually may end up being more valuable.
It looks like he's just scared a bit now. Yeah, Frost Nova into Flame Strike looks like the game plan.
I'm pretty certain that's the play I would have made, even knowing that that's a counterspell. Hopefully we'll see if that pays off a little bit later this game. Those Mana Worms are going to get huge, but it just doesn't matter. They are.
Could take Ice Barrier in the attempt of bluffing a counterspell. But you've not snap picked it by this point, so I think that would be an easy read to make.
You take the barrier, and then it's extra protection against Alexstrasza later. It gives the Alexstrasza an attack which just doesn't do you any damage. That's pretty much what Ice Barrier does against Freeze Mage.
You take the barrier, then you probably play Spellbender and hope that the hesitation comes out from your opponent, that they don't Flame Strike if they have a Flame Strike.
Yep, that's true. Hadn't thought of it like that.
Time runs out on me.
Flame Geyser.
An extra little bit of burn damage.
So, how good are your bluffing skills, Dan? Is this a good bluff from Pathra?
I mean, I think it's an easy bluff to make.
She took her time with it, which may indicate that that's not a counterspell.
It's just how much of a risk is it for Malygos, I think is the bigger question. I think the bluff's an easy one to make. It's just whether Malygos can risk actually trying to make a read here. Because if he risks trying to make the read and he's wrong, then that could be detrimental. That could just be game over.
What to do? What to do?
So it might be too big a risk to take, which is probably why we're going to see him take a different avenue.
Yeah, gonna go with the Frostbolt. Gonna see the punish pop up right in front of him. That was not a counter spell. It was a spellbender. A little bit of shock in his eyes there. But it doesn't matter too much. He can now just play the Ice Block, play the Medusa Valet, get rid of one of those Mana Worms. But unfortunately for him, Pathra are gonna get rid of that armor now.
Yeah, still quite a bit of damage on the board for Pathra. And she does have quite a lot of damage in hand as well.
Yeah, it's nowhere near enough just yet.
And Pathra may be scared of Flame Strike by this point. So something like a Firelands Portal probably wouldn't be the best play.
I don't mind just dropping Acolyte of Pain and pinging it here. Maybe drop Babbling Book too. Like, you've got a wide enough board, no reason to play into Flame Strike anymore. Just draw some cards. Get more of a hand so that you can restock the board after the Flame Strike happens.
I may even be alright with using Flame Geyser as well. Just because then you can buff up the Mana Worm a little bit more. But it looks like Pathra
Time runs out on me.
wants to search for a little bit more answers. So the way that Pathra loses this game is by running out of time, right? Not being able to draw an Alexstrasza, not drawing her second Ice Block. And if Taiwan were to have Alexstrasza into enough burn damage.
Right. There's the Flame Strike.
A Flame Strike, which actually the Stranglethorn Tiger, of course, survives, so...
Wouldn't she love an Alexstrasza right here, right now? Alexstrasza would allow her to put Malygos down to 10 health, but it's not going to happen. Now the Acolyte Ping happens. Let's see what she can get from that. The Violence Portal. So does she just leave the Tiger stealthed? That's a good question. Because, yeah, okay, a second Flame Strike, a Blizzard would deal with it, but Malygos won't be able to ping it. I don't mind saving it for an instant 5 damage after Alexstrasza.
I think I'd prefer the 5 damage now, guaranteed.
Sure.
Because you may not be able to rely on Alexstrasza being pulled from the deck, and you may have to just go down the route of a beatdown.
Still 14 cards left, so I don't mind that. Although, given Pathra's reaction there, her physical, the way her hand moved, it looked to me like there was a disagreement in the team. She kind of looked like she was trying to explain herself there. I don't know.
I'm with her, don't worry. I'm okay with that play. I'd be worried about a Blizzard.
I may have been reading into it too much, but we'll see. A little bit of discord, a little bit of trouble in paradise between Team New Zealand, maybe.
Well, there's that ping you were talking about.
There's that ping I described, yeah. Okay, so Taiwan's setting up for Alexstrasza or Antonidas. More likely to be Alexstrasza, I think.
Well, yeah, you don't have anything to activate Antonidas yet, right? So
No, you'd have to be really greedy to play Antonidas and just hope it sticks. And with the little amount of removal we've seen from Pathra, that's very unlikely. So Pathra going to have to decide what she wants to do, if anything, about the Doomsayer. I imagine she starts by pinging the Acolyte. Just seems like an obvious way of starting this turn.
I wonder.
yeah, you really want... I mean, you could be tempted to Meteor the Doomsayer, but you probably want to keep that for something like an Archmage or an Alexstrasza that is going to be a little bit threatening when it comes onto the board, that you may not be able to remove later on if you've used too much removal.
I think if this Doomsayer gets Meteored, Taiwan, Malygos, gonna feel pretty happy about that. Yep, start with the ping, not on the Babbling Book. There we
Runs
go.
out on me.
Not long to make the decision, though. Better see what we draw right now.
Counterspell. So you could use Firelands Portal plus your 2 minions on board if you really wanted to deal with the Doomsayer.
I just trade the Acolyte into the Medusa Valet.
Wow.
Okay, alright. That is surprising.
That's a lot of resources used just to keep a couple of 1/1s on the board.
Snap drops the Alexstrasza, though. Pathra knows that she's got a time limit now. Counterspell going to be worth considering, but if there is an Eater of Secrets, then that might just not be enough.
Probably could have done with that Meteor right about now.
I probably could.
So now you might have to... Well, you're going to have to be using some of this burn. You do have Fireball into the Flame Geyser. Or you could just use your Cone of Cold and you could just freeze Alexstrasza for now.
Even Firelands Portal, Flame Geyser, and Ping would actually allow Pathra to get rid of the Alexstrasza. Counterspell seems very tempting though. Whoa, hold on a second. Medivh
Probably
plus
Frostbolt, yeah.
Sure.
So try to build a board here. So we might see Blizzard now from Taiwan. Just to answer back. What a bad 2-drop that is as well. Just to answer back saying, okay, you can freeze us, but we can also freeze you.
I was saying to you earlier, Dan, a lot of the 2-drops, they only have 1 health. A surprisingly high percentage of them. Ooh, Doomsday Blizzard's not bad at all, actually.
So something we need to remember is this is Malagos' last ice block. His first ice block got counterspelled. However, for Pathra, there should be another ice block available in those last 11 cards.
Yep.
That could be massive.
Yeah, it's going to be the Blizzard Doomsday. I'm going to try and reset the board and then drop Antonidas down afterwards. I'm expecting
Archaeologist.
that Malagos thinks that Pathra will deal with this Doomsayer.
Archaeologist can draw that second ice block as well for New Zealand.
It's not bad. Then you can drop Counterspell too.
And you can just start sending damage to face if you really wanted.
But then if Pathra played the Archaeologist... Oh, she's still got it. Yeah. I was going to say if she played the Archaeologist and then equipped 2 secrets, that would be heaven for an Eater of Secrets.
But you also don't want to do that because of the Atish, right?
Yeah.
Because everything would just die.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with Archaeologist ping and pass.
Yeah, okay.
But I guess you don't even need to waste the Archaeologist. Because you could just play it next turn. You don't necessarily need to play it now. By the way, you've got time to work with. At least she does from what we can see.
That was a very clever use of Doomsayer there. The things that Pathra can do to deal with it are very, very uncomfortable. We're going to start with a Cone of Cold. Then it looks like Fireball it away. 4-4, that's not bad. 2-4, that is bad.
Stat analyzation from Falcone. 2-3, that's okay.
Considerably below the power curve for a 4-mana card. Alright, well, Primordial Glyph is the perfect card you want to pick up when you're playing an Antonidas. Let's get Frost Nova, go!
So, Archaeologist was played, but there's no second ice block. Am I right?
Yeah. You are right. Interesting.
Oh, if there was a second ice block, that would have been massive.
So Pathra just got a deck full of counterspells instead. I don't know what Malagos is hoping to draw from this, but there's going to be no way of protecting the Antonidas.
Oh,
there's an Eater of Secrets, though!
Baby!
I don't think it's good enough.
It depends what
Pathra
Pathra does with this. It depends how she trades. If she should be able to kill off everything whilst... And this is the situation that we were talking about earlier. You can set up a 2-turn lethal, but you need to also be considering the option of Eater of Secrets.
You know what? With Flame Strike, with a 0-mana Flame Geyser and the ability to Frostbolt as well, yeah, she can definitely at least... All she has to do is clear the Antonidas, freeze the Alexstrasza, and deal 16 damage to the face. That's actually quite easy to do.
Yeah, and there's no way, unfortunately, because of mana with... As much as we can get excited about an Eater of Secrets coming off the top.
And we can.
And we can, yeah.
We can get excited about it.
We can. We are quite within our right. However, providing that Pathra does pop this block, which she can, then it should be a win here for Pathra, because there's no second ice block. It was already destroyed by a counterspell early on, but that is still an Antonidas on the board.
Yeah, the...
Oh.
It's just not enough damage, though, is the... Fireball, Eater of Secrets, ping, that's only 12.
No, and there's a counterspell as well. So.
Yeah, but Eater of Secrets comes down first and eats up the secrets, but it's still...
Yeah. It's just, yeah, because you said Fireball first, I was confused.
I'm sorry. Eater of Secrets, then Fireball, then ping.
If he had drawn a Frostbolt off the top, then this would have been very different. And then I would have got very excited.
Yeah, Yeah, that would have been very
I
exciting.
think he may have used both frost bolts already by this point, though.
Yeah.
Either way, if he had that second ice block, now Dan.
Okay, I'm trying to work out if it would have been popped to turn sooner, though, because of the extra armor that he had.
Yeah, it's true. I know
This
what you
would
mean,
be a very interesting game to go back and analyze.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, if that 9 armor didn't end up buying him an extra turn or two, then yeah, the ice block would have been huge now. But it doesn't look like there's anything Malygos can do from this position.
Just drop the Eater of Secrets just for the lols, and then concede.
Just for tell-alls.
As Pathra is going to be able to close this one out. New Zealand go 2-1 up, and smiles all around, as they should be as well. New Zealand still just showing their dominance in the global games.
New Zealand, so Flame Lord versus Tom, 60229. It's going to be Paladin versus...
A Taiwan thing, but it is a Taiwan thing.
Do they have a special name for the snap?
Not that I could find, no. But it's not
See,
uncommon to see people just napping on the street after lunch.
Sure. But it is in Taiwan.
Isn't Taiwan? Well,
just don't nap actually on the street because the cars have right of way.
exactly. And there we have it. Innovate into Fledgling, the good old way to start the game as Token Druid.
Flame Lord isn't going to be too happy with you for calling that one.
Sorry, bro. But on the other side, we do see Tidecaller into Rockpool Hunter, which is equally as disgusting at times.
Maybe not equal, but it's up there.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I'm wrong
It's definitely
in that sense. I suppose if New Zealand were going first, then actually it would be fantastic, Murloc Tidecaller into Rockpool Hunter, because that would just defeat an Innovate into Fledgling.
defeats the Fledgling.
It's like Fledgling versus Tidecaller. Fight! Unfortunately, the Fledgling just flat out wins this race because you're going first. And this is the scary factor. This is the rank 5 wall factor, Dan, of I'm going to queue a game until I get this opening hand.
Rank 5 wall factor. Alright, Fledgling comes down on turn 1, and yeah, it's going to be Murloc Tidecaller into that. If Taiwan doesn't get any health on the Fledgling, though, then the Rockpool Hunter will still allow the Murloc Tidecaller to deal with it.
Yep.
Just not before it's adapted once. And that adapt could be 1-1, it could be health, it could be Divine Shield, it could be Death Rattle, it could be
Are you just
Stealth.
going to name all of them now?
No,
or
I'm
like-
naming all of the ones that actually means it's ended up with an impact.
Right.
The only ones that it could get which wouldn't be impactful are Wind Fury, which it would get another one anyway, so it doesn't matter, or Attack, I think. Oh, and cannot be targeted. They're the only ones.
Oh, things just went from bad to worse.
Never mind. Now it doesn't matter what he gets. It's just a 5/5 Fledgling.
And I was going to say, like, and you've got the option to coin out Stonehill Defender, which might stop you getting hit in the face by the Fledgling, but yeah. We might be looking at 2-2 here.
If if Taiwan get Wind Fury, then I think we are looking at 2-2 score. Yeah.
Unless there's a surprise equality, potentially, from New Zealand.
I'm surprised at how slowly they're playing this, though. Like in my eyes, this is just a super obvious play. You get the card draw, you get the buff, you potentially deal 10 damage this turn. But do you think Tom's maybe considering the Firefly?
Either that, or he is trying to give his opponent an idea of this wasn't an easy choice, and I have more influential cards in my hand.
Okay.
Which is a thing.
Ultimately, he does go for the Market Discharge. No surprise for anyone. There's a second Fledgling, exactly what you needed.
So yeah, Wind Fury here would be...
Wait, what? Fledgling trait? Fledgling no trait?
What just happened?
Fledgling never trait. Fledgling traded.
Right. Okay, that's the first for me to see. I'm not going to lie.
Just playing it very, very carefully.
There have been times where I've considered pro players saying, maybe they should trade here. Maybe I should trade here. They've all resulted in no, Fledgling goes face. I get Wind Fury, I win the game.
Well, that's the thing. And I guess Wind Fury would have been absolutely fine. Tom was thinking, well, what if I don't get Wind Fury? What if I get the choice between attack, can't be targeted, and...
But he's still alive if that happens. What's he worried about?
What is the third bad option? I can't think of it. Attack can't be... Death Rattle, I guess, is the third bad
Plants?
option. Yeah.
But, I mean, what's he scared of?
Pass.
Because Rockpool Hunter comes down and then it's just a 3-3. Coin into...
Hang on, coin into Mullet War Leader, what would that do?
Coin into a leader would...
It would have made it a 4 attack minion, which still isn't strong enough. So, I don't know. Don't know. We'll have to ask him if we get to interview him later. Mark of the Lotus. What secret was that? It was Noble Sacrifice. So
you hear about it first, and then you probably trade. I don't know. It seems like that's the thing to do now. I'm not bitter.
You seem really bitter about that. So Hero Power, hit the face with it, see what happens. Drop Firefly, and I still think... but now Murloc War Leader is a legitimate threat, though.
But then what's the point of playing Innovate Fledgling to win a game if you're not going to win a game with it? That's just worrying.
You really didn't like that play, did you, Dan?
No, I didn't.
You did?
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
If you had corrected me and coining into War Leader would have killed it, then I would have been okay with it.
It wouldn't.
But then I'm trying to think of what actually you're scared of. But finally, Tom is going to send that damage to face. He is rewarded with a Wind Fury. Could have traded that turn if he wanted to, but instead, now you just buff that big bad boy up.
The irony is now that there are ways that Flame Lord can deal with this. Not present in his hand, but there are ways in his deck. True Silver Champion would do it, for example. With the trade as well. Rallying Blade would do it. Blessing of... Oh, no. Oh, sorry, there's no mana for that, so it would just be Rallying Blade. Murloc War Leader is still not quite going to do it. It would turn the minion into a 4/3. I mean, it didn't look like Tom had quite the start that we were hoping for him to have, but it doesn't seem to matter that much. Fledgling still does what Fledgling does.
I mean, it's worked out the same. Okay, the difference is he now doesn't have a Tidecaller to worry about on the board. Whereas if he had just gone face beforehand and not got Wind Fury, then he would have had to try and deal with that Tidecaller. And then this turn, there may have been the option for New Zealand to trade in 2 minions into the Fledgling and kill it.
Right.
So by opting not to go face the first turn, you just remove the board, you remove a minion that is quite low in attack, whilst it's still not getting its value, and then you push the damage to face. So I can find logic behind it. Of course, it is difficult to sometimes look behind the logic because Fledgling going to face is just so common.
Of course, if he got Wind Fury on the first turn, if he did go facing it Wind Fury, then it wouldn't have been a problem anyway. He could have just then traded. Fledgling, Flame Elemental, and hang on a second. No, we're just gonna...
You just win the game.
We're just gonna Savage Roll and win the game now.
Wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. Taiwan are gonna tie this one up.
Oh my god.
2 and 2.
That was so bad, Dan.
We're going to game 5. We're going to that ace match, buddy.
Let's do it. It's going to be Tom versus Pathra. Coming up next, Pathra once again.
Versus Tom, as Dan has said, and it's Shaman, not Shaman, versus Warrior. No Warlocks drawn to...
Things were experimented with. I feel as though most of the things have been kind of attempted, but who knows? Maybe with the next expansion, Echo Shaman could go even further. But now, let's play some Quest Warrior. Is this the first Quest Warrior we've seen today?
I believe it is, and tossing away the quest as well. Tom saying, actually, if this is Evolve Shaman, I don't think I need that quest. Instead, he's going to try and stabilize and get control of a board. The scary thing as a Quest Warrior against a Evolve Shaman is if the Evolve Shaman can build up a board and you haven't dealt with it, that turn 7 of a Devolve into Bloodlust can be absolutely detrimental.
It can be, but I'd say generally the Warrior is significantly favoured here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, both Brawls, both Sleep with the Fishes. There are so many tools the Warrior's got to just pick off all of the Shaman's little minions bit by bit. Yeah, okay, the Evolve turn can be pretty brutal, but then most of the time the Warrior just deals with it, and it was a very good call from Tom there to actually throw away the quest. If this was an Echo Shaman, he may have been punished, but clearly he had a pretty good read there.
And as we've seen, the Quest Warrior has kind of developed into this Battle Rage variant as well. Just looking for more card draw to get more of a board presence. People have finally worked out how they want to play Quest Warrior. In its early stages, people weren't really sure. It was a bit stodgy. It was a little bit tedious.
Stodgy.
And it would lose games that maybe now it can actually win. For example, Quest Rogue. Everyone thought Quest Rogue was immensely favoured against Quest Warrior. However, now we're seeing people pilot it well enough that they can actually turn that game around.
Yeah, it's not even that the deck itself has been changing too much, but over time the way that the players have been piloting the deck have been. Removal being saved for after the quest being complete so that hero power can just win in a number of turns, in 3 turns after the completion. That's kind of how the changes have been taking place. But as we look back to this game,
Bloodlust being drawn for New Zealand is actually pretty big here.
3 minions already on the board, several more minions playable from the hand, and no board clear, apart from the 1 sleep with the fishes for Taiwan. Still needs an activator for it, though. This looks good for Pathro.
Yeah, there's potential that they can push a lot of damage. I don't think they're going to be able to push enough for lethal on turn 5, because there's probably going to be a taunt or so in the way.
Does Bloodstone Corsair come down here and also summon Patches? Let's see, that would leave 6 minions on the board, 12, 18 with Bloodlust, 19, 20, 21, 22.
He can't Bloodlust next turn.
Oh, he can't
Turn 4 next turn. So I think I like the Flame Elemental.
Not how numbers work, is it?
It's not quite. You can save the Bloodstone Corsair in case there's a weapon that comes out from Taiwan this next turn. But you definitely put this on the board. You just build your board as big as possible, seeing if you can encourage any sort of removal. Taiwan may be forced to execute this Primal Fin, which is pretty ugly.
Okay, well, Tar Creeper does seem very obvious here. Flame Tongue Totem going to make short work of it, though. Flame Tongue Totem plus Bloodcell Corsair is probably going to be Pathro's play this turn, and she just wins immediately with Bloodlust afterwards. Second Flame Tongue Totem, yeah.
I really like...
she can't fit it all on the board, though. That's the problem.
But after you trade...
Yeah.
So you Flame Tongue, you trade, and then you put another Flame Tongue down, and then you push damage to face, and then you say, I've just got lethal next turn if you don't have removal.
Mm-hmm. So what are you trading in with the... so you Flame Tongue just somewhere in the middle? Trade in one of the 1/1s?
Just trade in both the 1/1s.
Yeah.
And you don't have to put this Flame Tongue Totem down, but I like trying to set up for lethal.
It's so much damage, yeah. Is it still a lethal setup with your hero power, though? You get the extra Murloc from the Primal Fin Totem. I guess it must be.
Yeah, it's still, yeah.
Which is gone. 7, 14, 21, 22.
You're going to have less that can push through a taunt, for example, but...
Well, this is just 27 damage. This is a lot of damage. I don't think there's anything Tom can do about it. Bloodhoof Brave is the best he's got.
Yeah, and Bloodtooth Brave is 6 health down, and you said that's 27 on board.
Yep, and the 3/2 with Bloodlust trades directly in, and then also buffs the Flame Elemental next to it, so it's even more damage.
This is what's scary about Evolve Shark.
You've got to count creatively when it comes to Flame Tongue Totem.
Okay, what other option is there for Tom here to actually survive? I'm looking at it, and I think it's none.
Well, there was me saying that Tom was heavily favoured in this matchup, but I wasn't banking on a turn 5 Bloodlust with 7 minions on the board.
And I don't know if you saw Pathra's celebration when Primal Fin Totem was drawn off the top on turn 2 as well. She knew how important that was for this matchup. But this is looking like, yeah, Taiwan are having to search. They're not going to be able to find an answer. Just putting an Armor Smith on the board. Bloodlust is going to be able to finish this game. New Zealand are going to finish their group 3-0.
Ironically, I think Ali Armorsmith would have been good enough. Obviously, he'd have had to coin it out, but yeah. Huge smile from Pathra there as she sinks the damage bit by bit into Garrosh. There you go.
And quite rightly, a celebration as well. What a feat. I mean, like China have just done, going 3-0 is absolutely huge in the group. And a little bit of a Kappa celebration as well. Why not throw that one in there for Twitch chat? Unfortunately, on the side of Taiwan,